if you post this on you, if you want to tag me, let me know.
Yeah, well, we'll get you the footage as well, and if you guys can do with it what you want. Awesome, cool.
No VOGs for this transition.
Ladies and gentlemen,
right.
Please welcome to the stage. All right, we're taking a totally different turn. Eddie runs the company that's produced all of the technology for this event. I'm probably going to not do justice to your introduction, so if you could share your name, the organization that you run, and what you guys do.
Yep, so Edward Romanita, Envision 360 Productions. We're a full-service turnkey production company, locations, East Coast, West Coast. That's really it in a nutshell.
So I wanted to talk to you about AV and tech costs and best practices in general. This has been a pet peeve of mine because often AV is particularly for in-person events, it's often the second largest expense item after the venue.
Yeah.
And people are very good at negotiating venues. They know how to do that. They know how to analyze the room blocks and the terms and the contracts. When it comes to the AV bill, like deer in the headlights. They don't really know what they're looking at. Yeah. It's like somebody lifting open a car hood and, you know, unless you really know auto mechanics 101, you're lost and you're putting your faith in the provider. I teach a negotiating with venues class, and while everybody wants to know what the tactics are going to be to outmaneuver the other party, I say the best thing you could do for venue negotiations is know your AV needs before signing the contract with the venue.
That's a big one.
And because once you're in, a lot of the venues have in-house relationships with AV companies, which are often locking you in at higher prices. So, well, let me back up. Where are you seeing the cost of AV right now? Where are we versus 6 months ago, let's say?
Right. So it's a, AV companies are in a tight spot right now, and it's a crazy phenomenon. So what's happening is chain supply is broken, right? So if you need to buy any equipment right now, you're looking at 6, 7, 8 months back orders. And we're at the
business. Is that in part driven by the semiconductor backlog in Taiwan?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I was told, correct me if I'm wrong, that AV gear is not necessarily a top priority of chip manufacturers right now in terms of, like, they got to get stuff for the cars, they got to get stuff for telecommunications.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Okay. We're just not enough of a market size to really command that attention from them, so we fall down that ladder.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this is the absolute busiest time that I could remember since pandemic. There are events everywhere. All AV companies are stretched thin. Labor prices have gone up. Equipment prices have gone up. But we're also noticing that there's starting to be a crunch from the planner side where they need to have budgets and they're a little bit more constrained. And from that sense, where you can save money is, like you said, contracts, negotiate things ahead of time before you sign with a hotel, start exploring ground support versus rigging, start looking at different options, and your production company should be able to help you navigate that world. So I think creating a partnership with a production company that knows that world and knows how to negotiate, knows how to read those contracts is incredibly valuable because they could really save your life.
And so just going back to the cost, what are, generally speaking, between equipment and labor, what percentage increase are costs above, let's say, pre-COVID?
Yeah, I mean, labor, we're looking at about a 30% increase.
Wow.
Yeah, it is dramatic. A lot of great techs have shifted industries, so they're no longer in the industry at all. And combined out the fact that we're incredibly busy is just making that labor a real demand at a premium, and it's really tough. So one of the things
and what about equipment? Sorry.
Equipment, that's not such a big step up. I think we're looking at about a 15-20%.
But that's still a lot.
That is
we
still a lot.
We haven't had increases. I mean, we've been looking at almost no inflation for 20 years, 30 years. So 15% is a lot, but compared to labor's twice as much as that.
That is correct. And one thing that I will say too is important to, now more than ever, to find a budget to travel a couple of techs. So create that relationship, find that talent, find that comfort zone, and make sure you travel them. Local markets are so tapped out of labor that if you're not at the top priority of that company or of that hotel AV or whoever you're using, you might end up paying a high premium for a pretty low quality level of labor. And traveling someone really puts somebody that knows your event, knows the business, and knows how to watch out for you and put you in a position for success.
Okay, so I'm sure the first question I'm going to get from this is that's got to. We're talking about budgets going up, and now you're talking about paying to fly,
right?
One or multiple of your technicians to a meeting location.
Yeah.
So it's clearly you now have travel expense. Is it a matter of investing in that so you get better quality, or how would a planner justify that? Is it potentially going to wash or even save money in the long run?
So I think yes, it is going to increase your costs, which is counterproductive because we're talking budgets here. However, you could look at things like, for example, we just did an event 3 weeks ago. We had a general session, and instead of contracting out breakout rooms with additional AV, additional possible catering being spread out, we ended up bringing in silent disco headsets.
Okay.
So what we did is halfway through the day, instead of sending the attendees out to breakout rooms, we asked everyone to take sanitized headsets, put them on. The headsets had switches on them.
Right.
There were 3 screens. Presenters went up, and everyone could tune into each presentation, and that saved a tremendous amount of money. So that's one way you could save money, and then maybe you could just, some of that budget you could shift over to make sure that you set yourself up for success, having somebody in your corner that you trust.
I presented to silent disco with headsets. And let me tell you, as a presenter, it's weird. It takes some getting used to.
Could I ask, did you have any sort of in-ear or anything like that for support?
Well, I put a headset on myself.
Okay.
And so once I was hearing what everyone else was hearing, it does take some getting used to. As an audience member, it's great.
Right,
especially on a busy show floor. You can hear exactly what's going on. But as a presenter, it takes a couple of minutes to get used to. Like I periodically I'd say, can everyone just laugh right now at my next joke to show that you're hearing me? But getting back to controlling costs. So what are some of the things that a planner can do going in as an educated consumer of audiovisual? Mm-hmm. One of the things that we learned from we teach a course on technical meeting and event production at ELI. It's been around for a while. It's a very popular course. It doesn't teach you how to operate a soundboard or a lighting board, but it empowers you to understand inputs and outputs, right? At a minimum, how many audio inputs do you need? Like 1 mic, 2 mics. If we had a Q&A, that would be another one. If we had, audience mics, that would be another one. A podium mic, that would be another one. Knowing how many inputs you need and how many outputs you need for sound, for display. Would that be an example of empowering them to better negotiate with their potential AV provider? Yeah,
absolutely. Also the value of maybe being able to utilize screens, right? So typically you have a general session with 2 screens flanking the stage, a scenic, some sort of drape, uplight. So one thing that we've been doing is transitioning to using 1 screen behind the stage, a wider aspect ratio screen. So now you're eliminating the 2 outboards. So this gives you, and then you could use that digital canvas as a set as well, so you're not spending money on scenic. So that's just repurposing budget a little bit, and it gives you a real bang for your buck as well.
Okay. And how do planners avoid situations where this has happened to me a lot.
Yeah.
I speak in breakout rooms, and the projector is ratty or old, or it has the right amount of lumens, but the bulb is fading or the lamp is fading. What can planners do to ask or specify that they get a projector that's got a fresh, bright lamp? I'm just picking one example. Right. Because you see this the manifest, and it's okay. Here's a screen, here's a projector, and you think check. but when the speaker shows up, it's faint or faded or it's not as crisp.
Right. So the biggest advice I could say is develop a partnership with a production company. Develop a partnership with someone that will look over those contracts, because depending on that size screen, you need a certain lumen projector.
Okay.
You have an 8-foot tripod screen, sure. A 3, 4, 5,000 lumen projector does well. If you have a 16-foot screen, that 5K projector is going to look really dim and washed out. So you're looking for a 10,000 lumen projector or higher for something like that. The company, so you run into that with House AV a lot, because what they have is in-house inventory. They use it day in and day out, and they forget to maintain equipment. They forget to change those lamps. Really, those lamps should be changed every 4 to 5 months in that environment. So you're looking at about 12 to 1,500 lamp hours on those projectors before they're...
So let me pause for that to clarify, because I think this is really interesting. So asking how many lamp hours or how many hours of use
Correct.
Before they change the lamps.
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
And that's the equivalent of giving a fresh lamp in there.
Yep.
Now, do most, if a planner asks that, would the AV person on the other side be able to give that answer?
Absolutely. Every projector, when you change a lamp, resets those lamp hours. So you should be able to go into settings and look for that. Each projector, each model has a different menu, but that's
so
visible.
at a minimum, one thing that planners could do, regardless of where we are with costs, from a quality standpoint, because I know we talk about cost cutting, but at the end of the day, the cost is in relation to the output of what you get.
Correct.
At a minimum, one no-brainer could be make sure or require that projectors are relamped. What would be a maximum threshold that would be
I think if you get in the 900 to 1,000 lamp hours, you're asking for trouble, because you're not only losing power, but you're also risking that projector literally going dead on you in the middle of a presentation.
So let's say 500 hours.
I would say 5, 6.
Okay, so relamping every 500 hours or so.
Yep.
And would that tell you that this planner is going to be an educated buyer and they're going to kind of know a few things?
So I will tell you,
crappy equipment.
It's going to put me on my toes, right?
Okay.
So if I'm that person in the house or that AV company, I'm going to rethink. You know what? This person knows what they're talking about. A simple question like that just raised awareness that now they might look at other stuff and know that we might try to pull a fast one or replace some things.
Gotcha.
Also, really, really important, and not to be overlooked, control of lighting. So the first thing a planner should do is look, hey, is this breakout room, can I dim this lighting and deliver more impact with this projection? So yeah, that's another thing that we could.
Okay. All right, this has been great. How can people, if people want to follow up with you with a question, what's the best way for viewers to reach you?
So we're on Instagram, Facebook. We have our website, envision360.com.
And just spell that.
So that's letter N, word vision, number 360.com.
Okay. The letter N as in Nancy, 360.com.
Yep. Letter N, vision.
I totally screwed it up.
360.com. You're right.
You said it to me and I just butchered it, right? All right. N as in Nancy, vision 360.com.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's a mouthful.
All right. Sorry.
All right.
My bad. All right. This is
problem.
great. Thank you. Much appreciated.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
All right. Are you coming up next? Are we done? Should we get you the next window? Come back in 2 hours, 12 o'clock West Coast time, 3 o'clock East Coast time for 30 minutes. So hope to see you soon. Thanks.